90 is the biggest number you can fit in 2 syllables in English. Ninety and integers greater than 90 take more syllables to pronounce. 12 is also the largest single-syllable number. I say hundo because syllables don't tell me what to do. Google is the biggest 2-syllable number. It's 0.10. A deaf person who can suddenly hear wouldn't understand any of the spoken languages. You ever heard of a cochlear implants? This isn't a hypothetical. If you're born deaf, what language would you think in? If they read lips they probably would. Deaf people can and often do learn to speak. Shower those is turning into common sense. A deaf won an Oscar for speaking English. I have a feeling but no proof that this is incorrect. What if they can read? What about their inside the mind reading voice? I'm sure they could understand. I don't know if anyone here watches the Great British Bake Off, but there's a contestant on this season who is deaf but can speak pretty flawlessly. Reminds me of Molyneux's problem involving sight instead of sound. I'm too lazy to search for it, but I'm sure there's a Reddit deaf community that has whole threads about this. It would be quicker, since you just have to learn the language too, not just how to speak it. A man stumbles upon a genie in the desert. The guy says, "I wish you had told me first." The genie says, "You're a big dick." That's 2. He granted him a fanny? What a thoughtful genie. Finally Braska Jones. It's already 9 inches. Of course rounding it up to an even foot long would be the first wish. A mathematician comes home from a symposium to be met at the door by his furious wife. With answers like that, I expect this husband's marriage will be divided in 2 very quickly. If you don't get it. 1/4 of 12 is 3. Who says quarter of 12 apart from in this joke? I get the joke, but what does quarter of 12 even mean and where is it used? I've never heard anything other than quarter to past 12. Did you hear about the constipated mathematician? They worked it out with a pencil. Way to tell a classic joke badly. Here in Ireland we say quarter of 12 for sure. And dinner is at midday. Roast potatoes. With a pint of milk. I'm off to milk the donkey. Candy Crush is one of the biggest gaming communities to ever exist, but they are unnoticed since most of the people who play Candy Crush aren't active on social media. Why would they spend time on social media that can otherwise be used playing Candy Crush? I guess you're not FB friends with anyone who plays Candy Crush. So many requests to give them extra lives. What is there to even talk about with this game? There isn't a ton to say about Candy Crush. It's the new default game, like Solitaire on Windows in the 90s. People talk about it but only insofar as levels. Actual games don't have communities because don't need a feedback loop between people talking about the game and those playing. The vast majority of mobile games are about getting money from you, and the incentivized to share are just a network connection to get more people, an MLM scheme. Cartoon vomit is almost always green, but real vomit is rarely, if ever, actually green. Maybe this is an indication that you aren't eating your peas, beans and broccoli. I think you just dobbed yourself in. I'm telling your mother. You've never spent all night drinking vodka and lime Gatorade, have you? That's because we don't eat enough vegetables anymore. I've puked green key lime yogurt that was contaminated somehow. Characters in cartoons always wear the exact same clothes every day. But real people rarely wear the exact same clothes every day. Mine has usually been brown, but newborn poop is. You've never been possessed? Purple Gatorade has entered the chat. It was in October of 1988 when I pledged a fraternity and drank shots of creme de menthe and vodka all night after eating a stir-fry of bean sprouts and mushrooms. I puked up on the sofa and in the morning was presented with a green mushroom frisbee of dried vomit. Hand job. Vaseline is actually very useful when trying to have some sexy time with your wife. If you put plenty on the bedroom door handle, it'll stop the kids walking in. Really funny and new for me. I'll give it a try. If you're out of Vaseline you can use cooking. No, the man ain't messin'. When he's covered in Wesson, mixed with a very small amount of Vicks Vapor Rub, takes your hug to a whole new level. Try icy hot. The goal is to finish before the heat kicks in. Good luck. How do you give a good hand job? Use your mouth. Geez, that's crazy at the same time enjoyable. As a locker room prank, I recall guys would put a little bit of icy hot in a guy's jock strap. Once the guy got dressed, went to practice and began to sweat, we'd see them coming out of their clothes faster than a $10 hooker. Vaseline with paraffine works really well, lol. How did Canada get its name? That's how they got AA? Well, actually some Europeans rocked up on the shores of Guy off the boat, met some, said, "What do you call this place?" The local Indian pointed to his village and said, "They were named after Canada Dry Ginger Ale. It has that name because it sounds better than Canada." Actually, it happened when John Cabot's Portuguese Outlook first spotted Canada. Cabot called up at him in the crow's nest to tell Cabot what he saw, and the Portuguese sailor replied, "Ca, not a nothing here." Folks, if you can't tell, this is a joke. Canada got its name from a question. Canada? I think I heard a variation of this on the cartoon Bobby's World like 30 years ago. I don't get it, tbh. Am I that dumb, lol? Take off, you hoser. I thought it was the first Irish resident allowing his daughter to name it. She was shocked, asking, "Canada? How do porn stars get paid?" The money shot. They come and get it. The good ones make a buttload. Direct deposit. Stiff market out there. Under the table. Otherwise they have to pay income tax. The punchline might have worked better with "What do porn stars live off of?" Porn stars are just like truck drivers, they get paid by the load. Commission. They get paid loads and loads. It's too easy to get nickel and dimed in that business. They're also well tipped. It's more like with a direct deposit. When I was in the industry, my boss wouldn't stop screwing me. Sometimes they get shafted. Gross income. Bi-weekly. They are hard earners. The bare minimum. What do you call the amount of money porn stars make? I thought the way they got paid was choosing someone you want to have sex W and then do it W out recording. The amount of strokes given taken. If I were a porn star, I'd still be broke. Nobody watches a 3-minute porno by the pound. This is just bad, not gonna lie. I'm Oishi and I'm a technology researcher at the University of Bath. My research is about the role of government in the development, diffusion, and adoption of new technologies and innovation, particularly through defense or security spending. Ask me anything. Hi Oishi, your work sounds fascinating. Why do you think people see defense spending as different to other kinds of public spending? And has it always been the case that defense is looked at differently compared to healthcare or other areas? Thanks. Could you tell me more about the Society board game? What type of board game was it? How did you come up with the design? What feedback did you get from the school children? Do you study any countries except the UK? How defense spending in Niger or Congo help innovation there? My doctor told me I am going deaf. What? Mr. Miyagi says wax in, wax out. At least I don't have cancer. Lucky. How did you know that? My doctor told me color news really came out of the purple. Huh? Can't hear you. Yeah, I had my feelings hurt, so I got them checked by a doctor for free. My wife texted me "I love you." I hope she included it when you said your wedding vows. My wife just texted me a very strange message. "There's a man on the bus next to me that keeps farting." I replied, "That's okay. At least he isn't on your bus." You must really love W. That is actually new to me. Made me chuckle. Thanks for that. Oik, what you did there. I've heard it is that's my favorite vowel too. Why? I didn't expect this one. I like the W better. Why did the ram go over the cliff? He didn't see the U-turn. Dad is the joke. My grandmother taught me this one. MR pigs. MR not. OSAR. CMP. OIC. MR pigs. Made me laugh. Thanks for that. And the next thing I knew, we were getting a divorce. Who's you? Favorite lie. Till Chris Farley spent his last night with a hooker named Heidi. She could hear his breathing trouble after he collapsed 10 feet from the door. He asked, "Don't leave me." But she left after taking a photo of him to sell likely. Later that day, Farley would accompany Heidi T back to her apartment where they would continue to smoke crack and snort heroin. Chris claimed he'd been up for 4 days straight, without sleep. They tried unsuccessfully to have sex, but Chris couldn't giggle. Top-tier writing quality. It's a very similar story to John Belushi's Last Night Alive. He said, "Don't leave me." According to whose story? His? Hers? The walls? Whether the story is true or not, that photo is over in our last images if you want to see it. I'm not gonna link. Fun fact: Jim Farley, Chris' cousin, is the current CEO of the Ford Motor Company. Till that cassowary meat is so tough that people were told to cook it with a stone in the pot. When the stone is ready to eat, so is the cassowary. My favorite thing about this sub is that you'll see a post, then a few hours later another post with information clearly gotten from the first. Cassowary is a portmanteau word made up of casserole and wary. Aren't they capable as easily killing a human? Cooking one may not be an option. That same cook and eat the stone line is used about innumerable animals with tough, unpleasant flesh. It's the type of line that no one ever says except when saying that it's said. Low and slow. Cassowary brisket. Still that both Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are two of the oldest fathers on record. fathering children at the ages of 83 and 79 respectively, beating out Mick Jagger who had his 8th child at 73. There was a US president like that. John Tyler was born in 1790 and served as president from 1841-5. Tyler was 75 when his son Leon was born. Leon fathered sons in 1924 and 1928 when he was 63. That list is something else. I had never heard of posthumous birth before. My dad's dad was born in 1859. My dad was born when his father was 75 or 76. I feel bad for their children. Those kids are going to grow up not knowing who their dad was. Ex-head of F1 Bernie Ecclestone just had a child at 90. Cue up the jokes about having enough diapers for both the kids and the dad. Playful face. Till that the production team of Elf 2003 approached Macy's to use their store for the film, but Macy's declined as they didn't like the idea that there was a fake Santa working in the store. Instead, the department store scenes were shot in the cafeteria of a mental hospital in Vancouver. It's also why they used the name of Gimbels, a department store chain which closed in 1987. Vancouverite here. The hospital in question was his Riverview Hospital Coquitlam. Gimbels, where the scenes take place, was an actual chain of department stores. They were the chief rival of Macy's for many years, before going under in the 80s. Gimbels was actually the first to do the department store-sponsored Thanksgiving parade. The Gimbels parade in Philly predates the Macy's parade by 4 years. Although now it's the Duncan parade, since Gimbels is long gone. There was a fake Santa housed in the mental hospital? Till the original draft of the film being John Malkovich had nothing to do with the actor himself. Upon being pitched the film, New Line Cinema founder Robert Shea asked why the fuck can't it be called Being Tom Cruise? A question that John Malkovich also asked. Malkovich had felt that either the movie's a bomb and it's got not only my name above the title but my name in the title, so I'm fucked that way, or it does well and I'm just forever associated with this character. Jones explained in the same interview that he had not realized how brave Malkovich's performance as Pretty Sweet. I associate him with Eddie KGB and Rounders. Hey Malkovich, think fast. Calling the film Being Tom Cruise would have made it too short. You yourself are not fuck with your audience. John Malkovich, puppeteer. Malkovich. Meet me at the Stuck Pig at 7 o'clock. If you're late I walk. Maxine. 3 men are driving in a car. If it were 3 Mexicans, the names would be this one, that one, and another one. 2 Mexican firefighters, one is Jose, the other is Hoseby. Did you hear about the Mexican firefighter who had twin boys? He called one Jose and the other Hoseby. How are they all driving if there's just one car? I like John Wynn. My Mexican girlfriend had only one tooth. Her name was Juanita. This is terrible. Segue into 612. 2 non-whites in a car. Who's driving? What are some of the clear indications of porn addiction? Spending $2,000 on OnlyFans in 1 week. Watching it like if you're watching normal TV or YouTube. You get to a point where you don't even jerk anymore. You just watch it to watch it. I can't answer right now. I have to take care of something. Difficulty getting hard when actually in an intimate situation. Multiple times a day. Watching it in risky places like work, driving, or school. Continuing despite negative impacts like not being able to get hard or climax with real sex, getting caught by an employer or spouse, or loss of productivity. I think if you are late for work cause you wanted to watch porn, that's an addiction. When they're filling the car they tap the nozzle above the hole a few times before inserting. It takes you forever to come during penetration. I know this because I'm suffering through it. You want to know if you're addicted? Try to quit. What is the most historically significant event you witnessed in person? I sat on the roof of our house and watched Mount St. Helens erupt less than 100 miles away. I was standing on my front porch watching the launch of the Challenger. The tumbling of the wall in Germany. Along with people selling bits and pieces of it on tables in lobby in front of commissary and PX in the following weeks and months. I had picked up a chunk about the size of an Oreo and kept it. Has blue spray paint on the flat side. Wonder if anyone is buying them now? I was on the freeway in CA in the 90s when a white Ford Bronco passed us, and then a whole load of police cars. I was like 10. 1964 Good Friday earthquake 9.2 Richter. Was a boy in Cordova, Alaska at the time. I was watching the first local news broadcast of Hide Your Kids, Hide Your Wife. I was in the crowd when RFK was shot. What's something you confessed to your partner that ended your relationship? I cried in front of her about my grandpa dying and she never saw me the same way anymore. True story. I confessed that I wanted to do more for her. I thought I was neglecting her and working too. Next week, she sat me down and told me that I was threatening her independence and that she needed a week to think about us. The week after that, she broke up with me. I told her my work schedule. A lot of people don't seem to be okay with a 4-on 4-off schedule because it's an 8-day week. One month I'm working weekends, the next month I'm off on the weekend. The ones where I'm working, they don't seem to get enough attention on their days off. I wouldn't love her if she was a worm. That I thought her flat earth theories made her sound pig shit thick rather than unique. It's not necessarily what I confessed, but I showed him my picture from 8th grade and he couldn't handle that I used to look like I did in 8th grade.